another video. Your favorite Haitian boko is here to lay down some truth. So strap on your thinking caps and prepare to receive the message. All right, today's video's title is going to be "You Are Not Crazy: Psychic Abilities, Visual and Auditory Hallucinations, Delusions Revisited." Now, I must say this, that in the Western world, anything outside of your basic senses itself is classified as a delusion. If you see something or perceive something that's not there, you are either delusional, whatsoever, you suffer from delusions, you're schizophrenic, blah, 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 you're a whack job, whatever, you know what I'm saying? But let's keep in mind, the Western world is pretty much a part of all cultures around the world. You know, if you're talking about India, you know what I'm saying, or China, you know what I'm saying, they have their own traditions that go back centuries. That is in practice, spiritually, is beyond the scope of logical thinking, you know? But these are high cultures, you know what I'm saying? High cultures whatsoever, today, whatsoever, you know what I'm saying? Like, and you go into Africa today, you know what I'm saying? You have indigenous people of Africa that have concepts of spirituality that is beyond sensory perception. And it is completely fine and considered as normal. But in the Western world, if we apply the logic of traditions outside of the Western world, and we apply it in the Western world, they will be basically write these off as being superstitions or delusions itself, you know? So I'd say this to basically open our minds to understanding what type of scrutiny we are dealing with in the Western world, you know, or when we try to bring these concepts into the Western world. Western people, we have been conditioned to basically view things that are beyond the scope of our knowledge as being pseudo, or basically superstitious in nature, you know. Now, in voodoo, we say yeux clairs, which means clairvoyance. Clairvoyance means that you see beyond normal range. You know, you have the psychic ability, you know, to see beyond normal range. What you see with your two eyes is just one form of perception. You have a spiritual eye that sees beyond. It has no limit in time. It can move into the future, as well it can see into the past, as well it can see in the present. That's yeux clairs. You know what I'm saying? Which means that, you know, you're able to see, you know? Now, in psychology, a person with that type of vision would be labeled as a person who suffers from schizophrenia, a person who sees visual hallucinations, things that are not there. But I want to explain that and elaborate a little deeper. The person who sees things that simple-minded or low vibrational people can't see, they are labeled as schizophrenics because they suffer from visual hallucinations. Now, the only difference between the person who has the gift and the person who's classified as a schizophrenic is that the schizophrenic is the one who does not have that gift under control. It freaks them out. So the person who has the gift, this yeux clairs, he is in control. He taught, or she was taught, how to control what she has. So when she sees that dark shadow running by, or that dark shadow man standing over there, she knows what it is. So she'll say, l'homme noir, or I see a dark shadow standing over there. You know what I'm saying? He or she knows what that is. Now, the person who was brought up in, let's just say, some West Bubble fuck place in the United States, where their parents were basically logical, scientific, their daughter comes up as saying, "Daddy, I see something," whatsoever, you know what I'm saying? Her father be like, "Well, Sue, I think we need to take her to a psychologist. I think something's wrong with her." You know what I'm saying? That's that Western thinking. Now, the daughter starts thinking that something is wrong with her because she sees things and everyone around her with that same Western programming. Begin to tell her that she's delusional and she's crazy because she sees things that no one else does. So now she panics because no one around her ever taught her what that was. So she freaks out herself. Now she's brought to some type of insane asylum because she's like bugging and tripping out. She's a hazard and danger to herself because she's scared of the things she sees. Now, if she was taught from the beginning to work with what she had, she would not be panicking in the manner that she is. So now, let's go into auditory hallucinations. Auditory hallucinations. There's a thing in English language, in English, and for those of you who are into the Western occultism, you know about clairaudience. Clairaudience is psychic hearing. Those of you who are hoodoo workers, paleros, santeria workers, you know, santeros, you know when you are working with certain Nkisi, some Loa, some Orishas, you know you begin to develop psychic gifts. And sometimes you may develop psychic hearing. And if you work with roots and you do dark magic, when those oils and herbs get on your hand, you definitely know you hear a lot of fucking shit in your ears. Fucking shit from fuck you, burn his house down, kill this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Why? In that sense, because those herbs and oils attract that. I said that in the previous video. But moving away from the darker magic aspect, the auditory is just like the auditory clairaudience is basically just like the situation with clairvoyance. You're hearing voices. You may hear voices, but the thing is, for the person who has been taught how to live with these things, how to work with them to their advantage. Now, example, one day I was on the phone with a female. She told me, hey, hold on. She clicked over whatsoever. There's no way for me to hear the conversation whatsoever. Now, I heard in my ears a whole conversation for about, like, what, a couple of seconds long? You know what I'm saying? Like, probably 10 seconds long. And when she came on the phone, I asked her, was this what was said? And she's like, what the fuck? How the fuck do you know that? That's because I heard it in my inner ear. It wasn't with my fucking physical ear that I heard it. I heard it inside my fucking head. So when you start talking about clairaudience, all of it is inside your head. But sometimes the shit can be so fucking loud, you may think that it's like fucking, it's coming from outside, but it's not. It's all auditorily. You know what I'm saying? Now, when you hear these things, it's normal for the psychic. It's normal, period. It's normal. So when you beat in your tarot cards, you hear the voice of a name of a person. You ask the person, oh, do you know this person? Because I heard this voice and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? The name of this person. That person has the gift under control. Now the person who has never been taught how to deal with what they hear, they start panicking. They start saying, I don't want to hear these voices. I don't want to hear these voices. And they can't talk to anyone because everyone around them is telling them, you're crazy. We got to take you to a psychiatrist. We got to take you to a psych ward. We got to get you help. So the person is left with these voices going inside their head and stuff like that of things going on around them. And the fact that they're not psychically protected, you know what I'm saying? It could be the fact that they got negative spirits around them. They're hearing all this fucking type of jargon and shit like that, you know what I'm saying? Of things that they're not connected with. They're hearing it all in their head, and it can become very frustrating to a person. Like for me, when I hear voices, I'm like, whatever, that's nothing to me, you know what I'm saying? Like I hear voices, I see things all the fucking time. But it's nothing to me, it's natural. You know, for the person who does it's not natural for, they start panicking. They start going around, they start screaming. It's like it's frustrating to them because they were never taught to live with it and how to basically work around it, or basically how to use it to their advantage. Shit, I get paid a lot of money to do readings based off of what I hear and what I see. So at the end of the day, it has become something that has worked for me, you know? Now, we're going to visit delusions. Delusions is when you start thinking like signs and omens. You can say signs and omens. You know, basically, sometimes people think that, you know, oh, delusion, you can put them in the same category as somewhat close to paranoia, because now you think people are after you, people are going to harm you, and stuff like that. They're fucking with you and stuff like that. People are against you. You're delusional. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Listen, I've met some people that came up with that story, and it, for me, understanding how spirit works, I remember when I was younger, when I was working with the law, I knew that, and I knew that if I didn't feed my worker, I didn't give a fuck if it was my mother, if it was my brother, or if it was my close friends for like years. I know that if I don't feed my spirits, they're going to use people around me to fuck me up. And if you are in Santeria, you know from the Pataki that Eshu, he can turn your friends against you if you do not make your offerings. So we're talking about spirit beings. They have the ability to influence the world around you and turn loved ones against you. So when these people are talking about that, they are talking about what they are experiencing. They sense it, they see it. The people around them are basically working against them. This is a high perception. So for the person who is labeled as a schizophrenic, they say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. They just see things beyond the normal range of awareness. There's nothing wrong with these people. But if these people were taught how to work and to make it, how to work with what they were born with, they would not be panicking. What a crazy person is to me is a person who has the gifts but don't know how to relate to them, and they begin to panic. So I say to people, shut the fuck up. If you hear things, shut the fuck up. Don't pay attention to it. Ignore it whatsoever. Don't go out there talking and running your mouth to basically people saying, oh, I see this, I hear this. People are going to look at you like you're fucking crazy because you're talking to a bunch of people who do not fucking understand. It is very frustrating to see people who are in that state, and they try to talk to people, even spiritual people sometimes. Those of you who, who get into this whatsoever, and now you want to share the information. No, that's not good, man, because the thing is people won't understand you. And I say this, vocabulary means a lot. For me, those who have been classified under this, I had to become very patient to deal with people who have been labeled, as schizophrenic and stuff like that, because it's like translating their language. What they call devil, what they call God, is a language that they use. Now, if they had an expanded vocabulary, they could use the right terms to basically explain what they're going through. But the fact that they have they have not been educated with certain terminologies, it sounds like a bunch of gibberish to the average person. You know what I'm saying? So it becomes something where if a person tells me devil, I say, oh, they're basically probably talking about some aggressive, negative, dark spirit. So if they start talking about God, I say, okay, this is what they possibly mean. That they're probably talking about positive spirits and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? A positive spirit whatsoever. So it's all about, for me, relating to people is basically putting what they're saying to me in perspective to understand. Because if you start going off of what they're saying, you'll be lost. And another thing I want to say, if you're going through these things, stay away from fucking religious people, like the religious people in voodoo. You got to talk to someone that's outside the box. Because I had a friend, we went to get a psychic reading. She tried to explain what she was going through to a fucking normal psychic. The psychic looked at it like she didn't know what the fuck she was talking about. That's because they are dogmatic in what they do. They study a bunch of books with tarot cards, and then all of a sudden they start thinking that they know everything whatsoever, And some of these experiences just beyond tradition and doctrine and religion, So with that said, I conclude this video. Hopefully it is informative. Thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe, and I am out. Deuces!